Well, good evening and welcome to How to Rock the Virtual Stage. I'm your host, the Trigger Rich Bontrager. Welcome back for another week of helping you learn presentation skills. And we are all learning presentation skills all the time right now. And regardless of your business, regardless if you're an executive, a school teacher, in church ministry, if you are running a small business, right now everyone is online and we're all trying to figure out how to best do this. The virtual stage is here to stay, and the virtual stage is ever expanding. Believe me, the things I'm hearing every day about the new platforms, the new opportunities, is just amazing and rich and fun. So if you're struggling with the idea, this is small, this is tiny. If you're struggling with the battle of the mind, tonight our guest is going to help you with that. We're going to have a great conversation about mindset, attitude, and adjusting to this new world of the virtual stage. It's going to be a lot of fun. But coming up next week, Joel Bryant was going to be my guest. Joel Bryant is going to share the homeless to greatness story. He's an author, he's a speaker, but he really was homeless. And he has moved his life and shifted in new ways. And he is now presenting and teaching on the virtual stage as well. What an amazing journey. Joel Bryant will be on with us. And then in 2 weeks, on February 3rd, we're going to do something we've never done before. We are going to have Sheila Anderson with us, and she is a return to image expert, corporate and personal branding. Not the logos. We're talking about the swag, the style. She is going to be talking about how you look on camera and the extra pop you can bring. So you want to make sure in 2 weeks to come on back, because she's going to do a little corporate study of me and how do I look. What could I do better? Maybe it's going to help you do better. We're going to have a lot of fun with that in 2 weeks. And then, of course, coming up in several weeks, we talked about last week, we teased it up a little bit. We're going to turn the tables on the Trigger, and we're going to have someone else be the host, and I will be the one on the hot seat having the questions asked of me. I'm looking forward to having this coming up. That's coming down the pike not too long. But for now, tonight, we are going to be talking about the mind. Jeff Koziatek is going to be our guest tonight. He's a mindset catalyst. He's a professional success, personal freedom. His other thing he talks about, it's a keynote speaker. He's a mindset coach, best-selling author, engaging entertainer. Oh, believe me, you are in for a treat tonight with Jeff. He keynotes about mindset, and he also helps people achieve success through personal freedom. It's all about unlocking the mind and going someplace new. Let's welcome to the virtual stage my friend, Jeff Koziatek. Good evening, Jeff.
Hey, Rich. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
We have the box filling up now. We have Kimberly, we have Tim, Jeff, Aaron, Dorothy, Andrew, Larry, and the box is filling in for a live, very active crowd. As you come in tonight, let us know in the chat box where you're from. If you have questions throughout the show tonight, drop them in the Q&A box. And remember, the second half of the show, we are going to open it up, and you will be able to ask questions of our guests for the second part of our show. Part one, though, Jeff and I are going to have a little discussion. Jeff, first of all, tell us, how did you get into mindset coaching? When did this even begin?
How could you not? Everything is all about mindset coaching. It's how you see the world. Either you're owning it or you're playing a victim. And your mindset, like you can't shut that off, Rich. What kind of a question is that? Everything is about mindset.
So is this something you went to school for, training for, or how did you fall into being this expert to help with success? Because the mind is a huge barrier for so many people. How did you get equipped for this?
Sure. So not to go down too much of a rabbit hole, but I spent my entire life trying to earn value and prove to everybody that I was worth their time. And it wasn't until I discovered intrinsic value, your personal worth, that never changes. Ever. It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter what's happened to you. Your personal worth is always full all the time. Now, the crazy thing about that is it's almost irrelevant, because it really comes down to how you perceive that, your mindset, your perception of that worth. And that changes everything. Because if you perceive your worth low, then you move into this defense mode and you're trying to earn stuff. You're trying to defend what you have. You start comparing and competing unnecessarily. And so for me, when I realized that intrinsic value was there all the time, but that your perception of it, your perception of your personal worth impacted everything else, that's when I zeroed in on that. And that's why that's the foundation for my business. So I got certified to do life coaching with the values conversation. I got certified as a coach with the John Maxwell team, and I've continued to devour books to further enhance my ability to support and serve my clients.
And for those who don't know anything about John Maxwell, that authorization, that branding, that support is a huge endorsement for what you do. When did you do that? How long ago did you work with that organization?
John Maxwell, I got certified in August of this year on a virtual platform. And then I was certified with the values conversation about 6-7 years ago.
So let's talk about the virtual platform, because you have been a stage performer. We're going to talk about that a lot tonight. But you have made that transition. And when you and I first met, you were struggling with that transition. You were having a hard time going from stage onto virtual. Talk us through that journey for you, because a lot of the people that come to the show and watch, they're in that transition themselves.
I didn't want to do it at all. Rich, I was scared, because for me, my live performances were all built on building a relationship with the audience. So I would come in and I would have bullet points, right? I'd have this key point that I wanted to make, and this key point, and this key point. But the rest of it was all improvisation based on the audience's response. And I thought, man, if I go virtual, if I'm starting to talk to a camera, it's like right now, I can't see you. I have no idea what your nonverbal cues are. I have no idea whether this is resonating, if you're smiling or not. Are you smiling? You're kind of smiling. No, thank you. Like, and I thought, man, my strength is playing off of that, and virtual just totally kills what makes my presentations. So I put it off forever. And then when COVID erased my live performing and my live presentation business, I had to do the virtual stuff, and I had to face my fear and really shift my mindset and shift how I was looking at this meeting.
So talk us through, because a lot of speakers I've worked with, a lot of CEOs, experts, it is the mind. They're saying this is small, this is tiny, it's lesser than, I don't want to do this, it looks goofy. Talk us through how to get over those mindset. What would be some great takeaways tonight for our people tonight?
The medium has changed, but our opportunity or the reason that we're speaking has not, right? And so it's, we're like, well, I want to take the subway. Well, I'd rather drive. I mean, it's two different ways of getting to the same destination, right? And so whether we're speaking live or speaking this way, we just have to shift our mindset and understand, hey, here's another opportunity to speak. Here's another opportunity to lead. Here's another opportunity to influence. So it's a perspective shift. Now, along with that, I would also say that we need to set really clear goals, and goals that we can attain. As a speaker, I frequently in the past have made my goals the audience's response, right? My goal is to make you, Rich, laugh, stand up and applaud, to sing my praises and do all of these things. And then if you don't do them, then I feel like I failed as a speaker. And especially as we go into the virtual world, I think it's really important to understand what our expectations for success are, and then to get a hold of them and say, okay, which one of these are in my control and which ones are not? And then we take the ones that we're not in control of and we set those over here. And then we look at the ones that we are in control of and we say, okay, am I setting myself up for success, or am I setting myself up to totally fail? And then look at that and say, see, I can't present on the virtual stage. Look at my mistake. So we get really clear about those goals. We get really clear about shifting how we look at the virtual stage. It's just a different medium to do what we're already doing as leaders and influencers.
And it's of no lesser value. It's of no lesser value, because the value of your content is still the value of your content, right?
Absolutely. You know, and one of the other things we got to take on, or take off, really, to drop, is a responsibility for how you receive my message.
Ooh.
Because you're coming into this with your own day, right? Whatever you've been struggling with, you may come in with some bias against me. Maybe you don't like guys without any hair, or guys with facial hair, or I don't know. Maybe it's the black shirt, and so you come in with certain stuff, and I can't do anything about that. As a presenter, all I can do is offer safety, and then you can either take it or not. Whether you take it or not is up to you. But as a presenter, I can offer that safety and then go in to deliver my ideas and my understanding. And that's what we do as leaders and influencers.
So we're going to pause and open up a poll here tonight, because before we go deeper into this, I want to figure out where our people are tonight who are in the audience with us. When it comes to your career, how much do you battle this mindset, the issues and the barriers that we're discussing right now? Jeff's nailing a couple early ones here. We're going to go deeper, but do you often deal with it? Do you rarely deal with it? Do you just never deal with it? Or are you just now realizing that maybe you're considering, maybe my mindset does need to have, maybe there is more going on here with my mindset than I ever thought there was. Let's have you vote tonight. Cast your vote. Get involved with the conversation here. Remember, the chat box is open. We're going to keep that rolling. Now, break down more of this, because this mindset and the idea, just go on, regardless of what you think is going on the other side of the lens, is a huge mental adjustment, because you don't have the applause. You don't have the room with the sound. You don't have all these things we're used to. You just have to plow forward and believe you're nailing it, right?
Right. Now, when I was on stage, I was interacting with the entire audience. And you might have an audience of dozens or hundreds or thousands, but it was all about interacting with the crowd, right? When we're doing virtual, you don't see any of that. You don't get any feedback. So I have fallen back on what I heard an old radio producer say. He said, when you're doing a radio show, the number one person, the most important person, is the producer, because the radio host is interacting with the producer, right? Like, that's your audience. You might have hundreds or thousands or millions of people listening to you, but they're really listening to a conversation between the radio host and the producer. So I feel like as a virtual presenter, we need to visualize one person, just one person, and that's who we are having this mental conversation with. And then everybody that's tuning in is just watching that. And if you can visualize that one person that you're talking to, I think that makes a world of difference. It makes you more relatable.
Yeah, from all my broadcasting, from all my radio days, that was the big game changer. You're doing mass media, but you're really talking to one person. So the language you use on radio is you, me, not them all, things like that. So right. For the virtual lens, you're saying the very same thing is picture and present to the one, not to the masses.
Absolutely. And I think you add to that visualizing success, right? When I'm doing shows, or when I'm doing presentations, if I visualize a fail, somehow my body will make that happen. It's not good. But if I'm visualizing success, then my body steps up to the challenge and delivers. So as you're having this one-on-one conversation with this imaginary person, if you visualize the imaginary person responding in a positive way, it creates this feedback loop that you can continue to build on with your energy, with your enthusiasm, and the confidence rolls through the lens, and the audience picks that up.
So here's how our poll came back. Very interesting. I mean, really interesting here. Take a look at this with me for a minute, Jeff. Overall,
now I got to put on my glasses.
Often,
Rich.
When it comes to your career, how much you battle the mindset. Overall, this crowd is saying often. Is that when you bump into when you do your coaching and speaking? Or is this...
Let me take my glasses off. We'll get serious.
because this is virtual stage. These are presenters, speakers, authors, leaders, influencers, like you said. But this is a huge issue, it looks like. Well,
I would say two things to that. Number one, Seth Godin's got this great book called The Icarus Deception. In it, he talks about how you are the artist, not the art. And oftentimes we think that we are the art. We think that we are the presentation. We think we are what we do. And so we don't want to fail. We don't want it to look bad, because if it does, then we get all this criticism and we think, oh, that's who I am. No. We have to remember that we are the artist delivering the art. And if I care what you think about my art and it's important what you think, I can always go back and do different art next time. And if I don't care, or if your opinion doesn't matter, then I can take it or leave it, right? But understanding that we are the artist, not the art, we are the presenter, we are not the presentation, is key. I mean, that unlocks a whole bunch of mindset. The second thing I would say is we go back to what I was talking about earlier, this intrinsic value piece. If we're not standing on a foundation that says, I am worthy whether I make a mistake or not, like if we're not standing on that, then we're constantly trying to impress people. We're constantly trying to get attention, approval. And in that case, our mindset shifts from a growth mindset and an abundance mindset to one of scarcity, and it gets really fixed. And it happens all the time. Where we live in a culture that says you are what you do, which is wrong. It's wrong. But we hear that message all the time. And so we have all these voices and messages coming at us out here, and then we have our brain that's like, I've never even heard of intrinsic value, or if I have, I'm not really buying into that. So I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. Doggone it. People don't like me. I'm insignificant. It doesn't matter. And so we're fighting all of these things that jack up our mindset. So we stand on that foundation. We remember that we are the artist, the presenter, not the art or the presentation. And that's key. There's a third piece to that, but we can touch on that later.
So that's, yeah, because Andrew dropped into the chat box where this is, we were talking about this. He just did a virtual presentation, and he said he had to own it because he couldn't do all the things you're talking about. So he had to come to that place to adjust it and say, I own this. Now, I want to shift gears here for a second, because one of the things that I promise everybody is a surprise. You have an ability to communicate this whole mindset in a very creative, unique way. Part of your battle when you and I supposed to talk was you had entertainment stage experience, but you wanted to be this coach, this authority. You have found a great way to bring the entertainment, which is so important, to your expertise. Can you show us how you do that?
No. Yeah. Sure, we can do that. So as a performer, everything was built on building a relationship with the audience, right? And by doing that and talking with them, not at them, invited people in. And then I would take it a step further, and I would make jokes, but I would not make jokes at the expense of the audience, right? I wanted them to feel safe. I wanted them to feel like I wasn't going to attack them, and so that they could come in and feel comfortable. And once we had that safety, we could exchange the ideas, and everything was good. When we went virtual, I could not do that. I did not have the relationship with the audience. That was gone. And I could not control the room. So you might be in a room right now where they're watching something going on with the inauguration day, or you might be in a room where your kids are going nuts, and I can't control that, and I'm competing with that. And I thought, these are two things that I don't have control over, and they're up here. The third thing I do have control over, and that's me. And I thought, well, how do I take me and the environment and the fact that I no longer have the connection with the audience, right? How do I fill that gap? And I realized this has changed. Now, don't roll off my desk. Now it looks a little bit different. It's the same, but it's different because people, they connect with relationships, right? They connect with authenticity. So now I might not have control over the environment. I might not, well, let's just say this authenticity piece right here, that's what brings people in, because I might make a mistake, but that's okay. Everybody makes mistakes. That draws people in. If I own who I am, like who said own it? That guy?
Andrew did, yeah.
Andrew, like Andrew said, if I own who I am and I can weave that into what I'm doing, it'll draw people in and it'll create more of a connection. Does that make sense?
Oh, it totally makes sense. And I also am asking you to do this because, again, the mindset is this is small, Trigger. This is lesser than. What you just displayed here we can do anything we used to do, just in a new way. You have to know where the camera is. You have to know where your arms are at. You have to know this stage, but you can do everything you used to do on the physical stage right here in a TV performance style. And that's a mindset adjustment. That's a presentation adjustment. And many are struggling with that, right?
Yeah, but you know, I would add to that. So my training and my background as a performer is as an actor, not just a stage actor, but a film actor. So to come back and be able to have a camera to work with and to play off of and understand, okay, here's my frame. But now you can pick up on the nuances and the eyebrow raise that nobody can see from stage, but you can see it because we've got the camera in my face. Like there's so many more tools available to us here. It's smaller, but it's bigger, right?
Yes.
I mean, there's just so many more opportunities here that we don't have on stage that we do now, and we miss those opportunities if we have a mindset that says, now I'm on camera. How am I going to do that? As soon as we switch to that fixed scarcity mindset, we miss all of the potential.
So what can we do to the people that are joining us that want to rock the virtual stage? What can we do to get to where you're at? Because you have walked this journey. You've really gotten there. What can you talk about the real true nuts and bolts to rock the stage virtually and own it?
I believe you need three things. I believe you need a compass. I believe you need that mindset, and you need a team. I mean, really, it's those three things, because your compass is that reminder that you are enough, that you're a 10 all the time, whether you're acting like it or not, whether people treat you that way or not. It does not change your worth. You don't have to prove anything. You don't, right? Just show up, be you, own your material. Remember what you're there to do, right? This is part of your purpose. I'm here to deliver a message to help you, to equip you, the audience. You've got that piece of your compass, that right there. You add to that the mindset. Yeah, I can do this. Instead of I can't, it's well, how can we make this happen? You know, let's take a look at this. What information do I need? You know, use that growth mindset. I'll go over here and talk to this and pick and bring and learn what's going on, which is part of the third piece, the team, right? We'll go back to the juggling. You get your compass, you get your mindset, and your team. You have all three of those working together, and you can rock the virtual stage. Because, Rich, your mindset is not a box that you can just check and be done. You have to be intentional about it. You have to be consistent about it. And it's really easy when you're faced with all of this stuff that life throws at you, and now you're dealing with technology that you're not used to dealing with. It's really easy to just drop your compass and forget that part. And you need a team that can come alongside you, that can encourage you, that can support you, that can give you the tools and resources that you need to be successful. Mindset, a compass, and a team. If you have those three things and you attack the virtual stage, you will rock it. And if you don't, guess what? Ask me what, Rich?
What, Jeff?
You can rock it tomorrow, because your team will be there to hold your image for you, even when you're flailing on the ground. You can do it again. And it's awesome. It all comes back to mindset.
Well, and Linda Fisk was on our show, and Linda talked about the purpose, the compass, really well. So you are following up exactly on a previous show we talked all about. If you don't have this purpose nailed down, it's going to lead you all over the place that you don't want to go. So nailing the purpose down so you can own it in your strength, in your place on the stage, is a huge component. So you're just reinforcing and giving more tips on what we've already heard just a little bit about.
Yeah, well, it's true, man. If you don't have purpose, if you don't have a goal that you're shooting for, then you're just spinning. I'll just walk over here, or no, I'll go over this way. Like, no, you need a goal. You need a direction that you're headed. And once you've got that purpose clearly defined, then all of your energy pours into that. If you're doing a presentation and you don't know why you're doing it, online or live, your audience is going to really not have a good time at all.
So we all have things that we're juggling in our life. We literally have family, kids, work, stress, COVID. We have all these things. And then we have a booking to go speak on stage. We have an education course we're supposed to leave for the university. And we have to go from all the juggling, boom, you're camera ready. Give us some real good practical points to go pause, reset, get the mind. You can go back to that, but right now you got to be on. How do you do that?
I do that by taking a deep breath. This is going to sound really frou-frou, but taking 3 breaths. In for a count of 4, hold for a count of 4, out for a count of 6. I do that 3 times. That usually calms my body. And when my body is calm, then my brain is not worried about all the energy down here. It can think a little more clearly. So I do that. I also remind myself that I'm the artist, not the art. I allow myself the opportunity to make mistakes and make them publicly on camera and be okay with that, because I'm human. Everybody makes mistakes. I've found from live performances, when I would do juggling shows and I would make a mistake, those shows almost were better than the perfectly executed shows, because the audience would see the mistake and they would draw in to find out how I would overcome it. It was insane. So we don't have to cover that up. We can just call it out and keep moving forward, because we are more than the mistake. I would remind myself of that. I remind myself what the purpose of the talk is. What am I here to do? So if I know that, yeah.
So part of the mindset adjustment that you just landed on, I think is huge. It's okay to be authentic. And in fact, well, one thing we found out through the camera lens here on the virtual stage is authenticity is part of the magic that works for people over and over again. The more authentic you are here, the more they'll come through the lens with you. When you are too perfect, they're not going to come with you. So that authenticity mindset is, the freedom of that mindset is, I can be real. Whether I blow it, whether I nail it, I can just be real. That's a huge one, isn't it?
I don't think you can overstate authenticity. If you're going to rock the virtual stage, authenticity invites the relationship. It welcomes people in and offers that area of safety. It changes it from a holier than thou, I'm going to talk down to you from my whatever in my room, this black void that I'm in, and now I will disseminate all this information to make your life better. It takes it from that to, yeah, I make mistakes just like you. I'm human just like you, and I'm here to serve. And you have a need, and I can help. Let's do that. It changes everything.
And there's a fine line as a broadcaster, as we were taught. If you stumble over a name or a stat, if it wasn't monumental, just keep going. Now, if you blew something that was a critical factor in the story, you probably need to go back and say, oops, I messed that up. But you can plow forward, or sometimes you can highlight the mistake, make a joke out of it, roll in it a little bit, and then move on. And sometimes you can also hang on it too long, and then it wobbles everything else. So where's that balancing line, Jeff, to own it but not wallow in it?
I think that's really the only thing you can do. I don't think they're okay. So the line is, you acknowledge the mistake. If you want to call it out, great. If you want to turn it into a joke, hey, great. If you want to turn it into a humanizing piece, great. But then after that, you're done. So call it out once if you want, and then move forward. After the event, you don't go back to the mistake. Like you can acknowledge it as you debrief and you think about, okay, well, this is what I did that was good. This is what I did that didn't work so well. You write it there. But if you really start hammering in on a mistake more than once, especially in the middle of a talk, and then beyond it, that's wallowing, and that will erode your motivational mindset. It'll pull you right into fixed, pull you right into scarcity. It'll change your perception of your intrinsic value, and that does nothing but pull you down. And then you will not rock anything.
We're coming up on the halfway mark of the show, and again, in the way we're doing the show is the first half, everyone gets to sit back and watch and listen. Second half of the show, we're going to invite you to actually ask your questions of Jeff. You're going to come on camera with us, open up your microphone, and ask them. Before we go to the halfway mark, because some people do have to drop off, Jeff, give us some information, how they can find you, locate you. What's the best way to get a hold of Jeff, the Mindset Catalyst?
Yeah, check out my website, coreauthenticity.com. You can find out more about my coaching and speaking there. I'm on LinkedIn, Jeff Koziatek. And I've got a podcast coming out at the end of February called the Breakthrough Moments Podcast. And that'll be on thebreakthroughmomentspodcast.com, also on my website.
Jeff, a pleasure. Thank you very much for the first half of the show here. Again, if you want to learn more about How to Rock the Virtual Stage, we are launching a brand new website as well, only dedicated to the show. All the back shows will be on. You can follow it, like it, download content, everything else. Of course, it's always on C-Suite. We're loading up the back stock on the C-Suite as well. And of course, if you need coaching on how to rock the virtual stage, reach out to me, rich@richbontrager.net.